Hi, Melina here. New awkward dark filming location. I'm here because I usually keep the stack of books that I accumulate throughout the month next to my bed, and I film in a different room, and it's better lighting in that room, and it's probably better sound because the AC's right there, and I need it on or else I'll die. But we're gonna see how it goes. That way I don't have to move the stack back and forth of books. I get way too many in the month. We already know this. And yeah, let's just go through it. The first book here is the last book that I accumulated in this month. I got it today, the last day of May. And this is called Little Guide to Augusta, and this is basically just a little like travel book of different food places, different art places, different activities, and all that stuff that you can do in Augusta. And I got it for free. And it's basically just like a little travel book, but for the town that I live in. So I thought that it was cute. And they were giving them out for free at our, like, a local bookstore that we went to. My mom picked up one, and then I regretted not picking up one later, but we ended up going to one of the locations in this book, and it was like a macaroon shop, and that place had its own copy of this book, and then I picked it up, and it was cute. So, little nonfiction there for you. The next one I have here is called Jedi Search. It is the first book in the Jedi Academy trilogy by Kevin J. Anderson. This is a Star Wars book. It's old. I got it for around $1 and change at my job, and it's because I was shelving, and then I randomly seen a random one from the series, and I seen that it's a no longer canon book about if Han and Leia had twins instead of Kylo, and I thought it was cute because obviously twins would run in the family and whatnot. And it kind of sounds like a similar plotline to what the new trilogy is doing, but instead of Kylo, it's with two twins. It's like they send them to an academy to go train how to be like Jedi with Luke. It sounds like the same setup, and it's a trilogy, and then it later gets like these very thin mass market paperbacks that are like continue the series, and it's kind of more of a YA, I think, that side series. It sounds really good. I read the preview. It's good. It's all nice and old, like sci-fi coverish stuff going on. So I was really excited to pick that one up. And if I like it, we have more books in the series, luckily. Next here, I have We Should All Be Feminists by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This is a TED Talk. Everyone pretty much knows what this is. As a very self-proclaimed feminist, it felt weird not having any of Chimamanda's books. I love, like, the little excerpt from the speech that is inserted in one of Beyonce's songs, and I'm ashamed that that's the only way that I have heard that piece. I don't know if I want to listen to the TED Talk while reading this, or just do it separately and then watch it after, or what, but it's very short, and yeah, I've heard some problematic things about her, like she's not very into intersectional feminism, such as including trans women, but I've also heard that it says some very good points, so I'm excited to read it eventually. Next year, I have one that, I've never heard talked about it for a good reason, but I have heard a lot about, like, outside of the internet, and, that is The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty. It is the first book in, this trilogy by Anne Rice. She was writing under, like, a pen name. I love these editions. It's like very sleek and black, and then the other ones are just red or just white. This is an erotic BDSM retelling of Sleeping Beauty. I remember seeing this in the library that my apartment complex had when I lived in apartments like 8 years ago or something, and of course 12-year-old me is like, ooh, this seems taboo, and I started reading it and it's really good, and then I completely forgot about it, and then my coworker was recommending this to me because she said she doesn't like the 50 Shades trilogy, but that she's very, she's a part of the BDSM community, and she said that the best books that she's read that kind of have that element in it so far are these. So I started reading it, I read the first chapter or two, and I was like, this is so good, and I've also heard really bad things about it, but we'll see how it goes, and I have it now. Next year. Usually I put all of my Star Wars books in one kind of pile and do a category because I usually have time to do the different piles because I'm moving all of my books from one location to another, but since they're just getting off of the stack, this is just one of the newest ones I've gotten. This is Guardians of the Whills by Greg Rucka. This is obviously Star Wars book. This is a middle grade book, following Baze and Chirrut, who, if you don't know, are characters from Rogue One. Don't know why I said that weird. I'm one of those people that highly ships Baze and Chirrut. I actually have just, like, 2 pops. Well, I actually have 3 Rogue One pops, but I mainly only have them 2, and it feels weird not having the main characters and having them, but I needed to have them together, and they're cute, and they're just so married. And, this is the 3rd Greg Rucka book that I own. I haven't read any of them. I also have a Before the Awakening or something, which I hauled like a couple months ago. I'm definitely excited to finally pick up one of his books. Don't know which one I'm going to start with, but yes, I was excited for this, and I didn't think we'd get it traded in. Because basically, nearly everything, unless specified otherwise, I got for as cheap as possible at the place in which I work. So yeah. The next one here, it's the same case. I got it for like $1 or $2. It's called A Little Bit of Buddha, An Introduction to Buddhist Thought by Chad McCree. This is another Buddhist book. And I have lots of books by the Dalai Lama, and I have also lots of books teaching you how to meditate, and even ones that are specifically how to meditate if you're a Buddhist, but I didn't have one that kind of just has a simple laid out origin that is, you know, kind of, explained by a modern day Buddhist. Plus it's gorgeous, and I seen it in like the New Age section when I was shelving one day, and I was like, yep, I'm gonna get that. Next here is a book that I've wanted for a long time since I heard about its existence, and that is Imagines, a collection of short stories put together by Anna Todd. This, if you don't know, Anna Todd, she wrote the After series, which started off as fan fiction on Wattpad. So she put together this collection of short stories that is basically a bunch of Wattpad authors writing Imagines. And if you don't know what that is, it's kind of a fan fiction that instead of you reading, like, you know, I don't know, like a Glee fan fiction with 2 characters getting together, like Finn and Rachel, or like Blaine and Kurt, or something like that, you know? Instead of reading that, you are paired together with a celebrity or a fictional character. So it's kind of like, imagine you were running around the city dodging paparazzi with Jennifer Lawrence. It's putting yourself in these weird stories, and it reminds me of like really weird, surreal stories that involved actors or fictional characters that my best friend and I used to write together. So I've been really excited about this, and we got it in, I think it's new, but it was cheap, and, so yes, I'm really excited about this one. My mom also wants to read it, so eventually we might do like a buddy read or something, but it's there. Next, went to Toys R Us, and, you know, they're doing their whole going out of business sales, which are just so depressing. So this was mad cheap, and it's Star Wars A Leader Named Leia. Another Star Wars book. It's one of those thin, like, learning books, and I'm just here for all of those kinds of books. I seen that this was one that came out on Force Friday because there was a ton of books that were coming out on that day. It was cheap. My mom got it, I got it. I get lots of Star Wars books. Next one here is called Una Biografia. It's by Maria Hesse? Don't know. The last name's there. It is a book about Frida Kahlo that is in Spanish. I have some ebooks, but I don't actually like own any physical books besides ones that I read when I was a kid, like Little Mermaid or like Clifford, that are in Spanish, and I wanted to start familiarizing myself more with reading like full-length books in Spanish, and this was gorgeous. It's obviously the art isn't by her, but it's like forms of her art, and it's gorgeous, and it's so beautiful. And I wanted to, for Hispanic Heritage Month, and just in general, start familiarizing myself with reading more books in Spanish. So this is here. Next year. Well, that one I got at Barnes & Noble, full price, cost a pretty penny. This one was like $2 at my store. This is Spelling It Like It Is, by Tori Spelling. I think she looks gorgeous on this cover. And this is, I think, the last Tori Spelling book that I didn't own yet. I own and have read all of her other books. Besides Storytelling, which is weird because that's like her first and most popular one. I have a weird love for Tori Spelling. These are kind of my guilty pleasure reads, all of her books. People were judging me at work when I was buying this, and I don't know why I love Tori Spelling as much as I do. I haven't really watched much with her in it. But there have been sections of her books where she talks about, like, rescuing animals that are, like, already really sick or dying, and even though it's such a sad toll on her, she is happy that she can give those animals the best life that she can in the short time that they have, and it's just precious. And I think that even though she's over the top and obviously not liked by a lot of people, she just is a good person with a lot of heart, and this is gorgeous. So whenever I want, like, a light biography read, I will go for that one. Next is a book that I really didn't need, but at the same time I felt like I needed. It's It by Stephen King. Anyone who's ever watched any of my other book hauls or wrap-ups or basically any of my other videos, this is my 4th copy of It. I have the very original cover that came out in hardcover, and my sister bought that for me. Then I bought myself the 2017 movie cover that has, like, Georgie getting the balloon from Pennywise, and then I also have that one that's, like, the white and it just has a smile on it. But this one I needed, because before I owned any of them, this was the cover I wanted, because it kind of reminds me of Twisty the Clown from American Horror Story, and this is one of my favorite books of all time. It's fine, I can own 4 copies of it. I swear I'm done getting copies of It after this, unless they release a really beautiful one. But no, I think I'm done for the most part. And so yeah, I have that, and yeah. Next here, we have Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I love the movie. It's one of my sister's favorite movies, so I've watched it with her more times than is probably healthy. I love the movie. I love the concept of reading Neil Gaiman, but I haven't before. I don't know if I should start with his adult stuff or with his kids stuff, because now I own Good Omens, and now I own this. So we'll see which one I end up starting with, but this is a book that has been the longest on my Goodreads TBR, and last time that I chose to do that, take the one that's been there for years and read it, it was The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, and it turned out to be one of the best reading decisions because I loved that book so much, so hopefully that will be the case with this one. Next, I've freaked out with this book and then the next book that I'm going to talk about when I seen that they were on the cart, because they're 2018 releases, and they were mad cheap, because they're already, like, half the price, or less than half the price. Yeah, they're, like, 1/4 of the price when we get them, when we start selling them at my store, plus I have a 30% discount, so it's basically, like, it's ridiculously cheap. This is Meet Cute. It's, I think, put together by Jennifer Allen Armentrout. I don't know if it's put together by her, if she's just one of the stories, but it's a collection of short stories by a bunch of popular YA authors. It's been highly talked about, and people like a lot of the stories in it, and it's basically about a meet cute, where 2 people who are going to end up becoming a couple meet for the first time. This is something I've been excited to read for so long. I actually ended up buying it on Kindle when they did a deal for, like, $2, so I didn't know if I should buy it, but it was so pretty, and it was there, and it was cheap, and so I bought it. And I might read it for Pride, because I've heard some of the stories are queer. I might not. Who knows? Next year, I'm so glad that we got this in. It is Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. Because I am in love with this cover, but I haven't heard the best reviews, and when I read the preview, I kind of hated the main character. So I still plan on reading this, and I've heard really good things about the romance in this, and, like, the dynamic of that once it starts. I just, didn't want to pay full price for a book that I'm not sure if I will like or not. I don't think I would ever get rid of this, though, because it's gorgeous. Yes. Getting kind of further, I thought I was doing better at not buying books this month. I don't know if that's true or not. Next we have Model Land by Tyra Banks. I don't think a lot of people know about this book, and the people who do kind of probably think it's bad. But that's kind of why I wanted it. I'm a big fan of Tyra Banks. I'm a huge fan of America's Next Top Model. I love her. I think she's a very over-the-top, interesting person. And the fact that I genuinely believe that all of this was written by her, it seems so far-fetched and so ridiculous that it's like, this is all a product of Tyra Banks' mind. Like, definitely. And it's kind of like, I want to pick up Hot Pterodactyl Boyfriend, because people say they hated it because it was so weird, and I want to get into something that weird because I usually love things that are that weird. So this is like a chunker of a book. I still haven't taken off the sticker. And I was so sad because I ended up not getting it the first time that we got it traded in, because I thought that it would stay there forever, but apparently other people are oddly fascinated by this, and somebody bought it, and I was sad. So now I'm definitely going to read this. I'm actually really excited. And I remember one of the cycles, she had the girls act out scenes from this book to kind of get her own adaptation of this, like, come to life. And I want to rewatch that episode after reading this to see, like, if I enjoy it, like, you know, then I'll go through all that effort. Next year, I have one that I've already read, which is always satisfying, and that is Not That Kind of Girl by Lena Dunham. If you have watched my, Buzzword Readathon videos, you will know that I read this, and I enjoyed it, and it's controversial, but I enjoyed it, and that's why I chose to buy it, and this picture of her on the back gives me life. And I really wanted to just tab lots of weird, random stuff that I liked there. Again, I got it at my store for cheaper. Next year, we have an ARC. It is Dreams of Falling by Karen White. I got this. It sounds kind of interesting. It's like a historical thriller kind of thing. But this cover, it's kind of getting like a weird light on it, but it's gorgeous. It's just so pretty. It comes out June 5th of this year. And it's basically, like about these girls, this group of 3 girls who kind of write on pieces of paper, like, wishes and secrets and all kinds of weird personal stuff about them, and they put them on this tree. I don't know why. And then something happens. I think one of the girls dies. I think maybe they're involved, and there was, like, some weird I Know What You Did Last Summer kind of vibes to it, and people start leaving messages for them on the tree saying they know what happened to the girl and all that. It sounds good and kind of weird, and the cover's pretty. Plus, it doesn't negatively impact me too much picking up cover buys if they're just free ARCs that I'm getting from work. Another one is one that I bought and read for the Buzzword Readathon. This is Love, Stargirl. It's the sequel to Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. I really enjoyed it. I wanted it to tab a bunch, and yes, it's pretty, and now it's part of my collection, and when I finally get all my books together, it can go with my copy of Stargirl. Another one that I got, my mom gave to me, but she got it from the bin. It's called Everyone's an Author, and it's by, like, a whole collection of authors. It is a nonfiction book about writing. I've been trying to get more and more of these over time, because this year has to be the year that I get serious about finishing one of my first drafts of a manuscript. Like, it needs to be the year. I'm sending that out into the universe and hoping that amongst school and work and trying to read and maintain a YouTube channel and update my fanfiction, that I will be able to finish a book. So that's there. It's really pretty, and hopefully it has good tips. We're getting close to the end-ish. There's another ARC, and it's called Good Luck With That by Kristen Higgins. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know what this is about. I just thought the cover was really pretty, and I think I read, like, the first page or so, vibed well with the writing, have heard of this author, decided why not. It's here. It's really pretty. Next, we have a Dollar Tree purchase. This is History of the Future, Glory O'Brien's History of the Future by A.S. King. I remember I picked this up because it seemed really interesting. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know. It was interesting at the time when I read the summary. Plus, A.S. King is an author that I've wanted to pick up, and I always was interested in Ask the Passengers, but recently I started reading the preview of it, and I wasn't really feeling it, so maybe I'll try this, and if I like it, I'll go for Ask the Passengers. It's a really nice cover. It's YA. I think it's a thriller that's paranormal. Who knows? Next is another Dollar Tree find, and this is called Troika by Adam Pelsman. I don't know much about this either. Yes, except that this is about the main character, or at least one of the main characters, is a stripper, and she is Cuban-American, and I want more books with Hispanic female-led characters. There's not enough of them. I also think that it's interesting finding main characters that are strippers or hookers. I've read lots of comics and books that kind of take place with those kinds of characters, and they're always really interesting to me, and she's Hispanic. She's Cuban. I'm just here for it. This cover's gorgeous. It was $1. Yeah, and once Hispanic Heritage Month comes up, I want to read as many Hispanic-led books as I can. Next year is exciting. It's Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. Rainbow Rowell's within my top 5 favorite authors of all time. I've read Fangirl, Eleanor and Park, and Landline by her, and I have adored them all as much as somebody can. This was the last book of hers that I didn't own. No, I don't own Almost Midnight. aside from that, I own all of her books now, and I'm really excited to read this one. This was actually out of her 2 adult ones, the one that I was more interested in. I just happened to read Landline first, because I was able to get it cheap first. But, yes, I, died when I seen that on one of the carts. Next here, we got when I was purchasing books that had girl in the title for the Buzzword Readathon. This is Girl of Nightmares by Kendare Blake. I read Anna Dressed in Blood 2 years ago, really loved it. Think the covers are gorgeous, the writing is gorgeous, the ink, I don't know if you can tell, that's in red. It's red ink. It's so weird, it's so cool. And I really loved the first book, and I'm excited to finally finish this duology, because I feel like there's too many series that I start and never finish. Next here, we have Armada by Ernest Cline. I'm currently reading Ready Player One, and it is one of the most phenomenal books I've read in my entire life, and it's so weird. I didn't think I would love it as much as I'm currently loving it. He only has one other book out, so I decided why not. I like the cover. It's about aliens, I think. A bunch of people complained that they didn't like it as much, but that usually happens, and I love Ready Player One so much that I just wanted something else that came as a product of his mind. Okay, we're getting down to it, you know, there's not that many left. Yeah, so these next two kind of go together. I have episode 2 and episode 5, the junior novelizations, for Star Wars. This is Attack of the Clones and The Empire Strikes Back. This one is by Patricia C. Ride, and this is by Ryder Windman. I, at one point in my life, thought, no, I just want the adult novelizations of the Star Wars books. I mean, the Star Wars movies. And then I was like, wait, no, I want the adult novelizations and the junior ones, because they both add different bonus content. Here we are. I have a problem. Next here, I got from, Goodwill. Yes. And that is Dreamland by Sarah Dessen. This is the first Sarah Dessen book I ever heard of, because my friend Morales from high school, she said that Sarah Dessen was her favorite author of all time, and this was her favorite book by Sarah Dessen. I know it involves an abusive relationship and a sister who goes missing, or something like that. This is one of my favorite covers out of the different versions of Dreamland that exist, and I own nearly every Sarah Dessen book. I haven't read any of them. There's a problem. But the only other book by her that I have here with me that's not in storage is Saint Anything, and I might start with this one, I might start with that one, but it was one that bothered me that I didn't own it, and now I own it, and it was $1. We are literally down to the last 2. See, it's fine. It's such a long video, I'm sorry. Here, it's kind of beat up, which kind of bothers me, but it's also, I'm glad I have it, and it's The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is another queer book that I have managed to get my hands on for, during May. This we got in at my store as well. It is, I know, a retelling, or kind of just a exploration into the characters from the Odyssey, and, it's gay. And I heard that it's, one of the most beautiful books that people have read. Plus, her new book, Circe, is getting a lot of hype, so I just want to get into her as an author. Next, this is the most, perfect condition used book I've ever got. It looks like it just came from Barnes & Noble. This is Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. This is another one, like Meet Cute, that I bought for $1 or $2 on the Kindle store, because I was like, whoa, it's so cheap. And then we got it traded in. And it was literally $2.50 before my discount. And I needed it. I can't pass that up. And it's just so perfect. It's so pretty. This is,